Paradise restored. That sounds like a wonderful thing when you begin to think about it. You know, the nation of Israel in the Old Testament, especially when you read some of the prophecies of the prophet Isaiah and Ezekiel and some of the minor prophets, they all were looking for and anticipating a time when the earth would be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, when this creation would be renewed and it would be resplendently filled with the glory and majesty and beauty of God. The Apostle Peter, in his second letter, chapter 3, verse 13, he says, "But according to his promise, we are looking for new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells." The children of Israel's longing, as was the early church's longing, was not simply for a place like temporary heaven right now, but for a permanent dwelling. The writer of Hebrews tells us that those people who went by and lived by faith looked for a city whose builder and maker was God. They were anticipating and looking for, off in the distance, and longing for a country, not of this realm, not of this world, but one which is to come. They spoke about a coming kingdom, a literal rule and reign of God in his physical creation, where shalom, where peace, where wholeness would rule and reign. Restoration would be the rule of the day. You see, when God restores something, he always restores it better than it was before. You can see that in the scripture, even in the Old Covenant. When the principle of restoration, when something was restored, there was always that which was lost was restored, but it was always restored more than what was lost and in a greater degree of glory probably than what was lost. And this is what God does. He is a restorer. The new, which Peter speaks about here, the new creation, carries with it the idea that this creation is new in quality and it is superior in its character to that of the present creation that we now exist in. It's going to be beautiful. The Bible tells us that in this coming kingdom, the future heaven, on this earth, that Jesus is going to reign as king over all the earth. The prophet Isaiah, in Isaiah chapter 9, he tells us this in relationship to this coming rule of Christ. And he specifically says that unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. And of the increase of his government and kingdom there shall be no end, in order to establish it with justice and with righteousness from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Isaiah says that this kingdom that's coming, that it's going to be an expansive kingdom that's going to continue to expand and expand and expand in all the ages to come. It's going to be filled with justice and righteousness, and the one that he's describing here is Emmanuel, God with us. Isaiah says in the 11th chapter, verse 1, "Then a shoot will spring forth from a stem of Jesse, and a branch from the root. His root will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and strength, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. And he will delight in the fear of the Lord, and he will not judge by what his eyes see, nor make a decision by what his ears hear. But with righteousness he will judge the poor and decide with fairness for the afflicted of the earth. And he will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he will slay the wicked." He says that he's going to reign. He's going to rule. Zechariah tells us that the Lord will reign from the city of Jerusalem. There is going to be a king and a throne, and that king's name is Jesus, and he will sit upon the throne in a land called Israel, because there will still be nations, and there will still be cultures, and there will still be people groups and ethnic groups in that future kingdom. And Jesus is going to literally rule and reign from that place in this physical realm, this physical earth, but it's going to be new in that future heaven. The Bible tells us in the 9th verse of Isaiah chapter 11 that the knowledge of the Lord will cover the earth like the waters cover the sea. The knowledge of the glory, the character, the goodness, the love, the grace, the mercy, the kindness, the justice, the righteousness, all of the things about God will fill the earth like the waters cover the sea. The whole of this creation will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord. The Bible also tells us that the nations, and this is where we understand there are still going to be nations in this world, different unique nations, different unique people groups, different unique cultures and ethnic groups, as we said a moment ago. They will bring their glory to Jerusalem, even as they did to Solomon. In the 60th chapter of the book of Isaiah, he speaks of this as well. In Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 11, he says, "Your gates will be opened continually. They will not be closed by day or by night, so that men may bring to you the wealth of the nations with their kings led in procession." Rulers, kings, leaders of these nations, they'll be bringing their glory and their wealth into the city of Jerusalem. John the Apostle saw the same thing in the book of the Revelation, chapter 21. And in verse 24, "The nations will walk by its light, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it." Yes, yes, they will bring their glory into the city of God. As I said, in this coming kingdom, it's so cool to think about it. We're not going to be just molded into one, kind of people where there's no difference, no cultural differences, no nations or anything like that. There's still going to be the unique expressions of culture, of ethnicities, of all of the beautiful things, all of the healthy, good, holy, godly things. From the very beginning when God created Adam, he always intended that there would be culture, there would be art, there would be beauty, there would be music, there would be all kinds of things that are unique that make up culture, all the sociological things that make up culture that are righteous and good and holy. There will still be nations, there will still be people groups, there will still be all of those wonderful things in that coming kingdom, and they will bring their glory and the wealth of those places to honor God there in the city of Jerusalem, and they will be restored. They will be new in that new and glorious coming kingdom that God has promised to us. And so I look with anticipation and excitement to be able to experience all those things in that coming kingdom, because there's a lot of things that I'm not going to get to experience in this life, places that I'm not going to get to go. But in that coming kingdom, I still have a bucket list of things that I may not get to do here, but I have all eternity that I'm going to get to do a lot of these things, and a lot of places I'm going to get to go, and a lot of things I'm going to get to experience that are good, wholesome, godly, and wonderful in the ages to come. I hope you have that hope as well, and that you're anticipating and looking forward with great joy to paradise restored.